So WBD's evolution in the upfront has really ramped up over the past few cycles, with obviously a push towards moving budgets and dollars and negotiating across screens. I think every content owner who has both a broadcast television offering as well as a streaming service will recognize that. And I think it's a great opportunity for brands and agencies to lean in and go screen agnostic best that they can. What used to be just a straight up hard firm upfront commitment struck between the two parties is now evolving into something more fluid and more always on, in my opinion. And we are definitely leaning in heavily with things outside of just the content cell, things like tools and data and big, huge cultural moments that are being negotiated on an upfront basis, no pun intended. To really allow brands and advertisers to capture their placement in a show like, The White Lotus or The Last of Us, something that's in the cultural zeitgeist, with affording them time to build even bigger sponsorships and opportunities around that actual cultural moment. So I'd say it's an equal part of transactional, big budgets. It is more flexible than ever before. We have gotten to a point where it's transaction agnostic, whether it's a piece of guaranteed business running through direct means or through a programmatic channel, while also still, at least for WBD, really focusing on the quality of the content that we're offering in our portfolio.
So with that idea of screen agnosticism, how is it that the upfront has remained so relevant for both you and for advertisers?
Look, I think it's a moment in time where we all come together and showcase our best wares. There's a content funnel, there's an offering funnel that every major content company builds towards to allow for brands to prepare for what's coming and how they want to spend their budgets and how agencies can shepherd them through that process. It's a little bit more, there's a lot of unknowns. This business changes so rapidly. So what you negotiate in the summer one year could look very different by the end of the cycle the next year. But at the core of it all is, making sure that you have access to that premium content, those premium experiences. I think that's really what the upfront is all about. And then it will ebb and flow throughout the course of the cycle. And you may revise deals, you may change plans, you may change your focus, certainly, or your KPI. And we at WBD want to make sure that we're there with our clients to capture that change.
So also the idea of the upfront has been the sense of, as you said, premium content, opportunities for advertisers. But at the same time, there's been this greater push towards personalization and maybe picking up from, again, those ideas of screen agnosticism. How do you bridge those two ideas of there's this mass focused premium side, but also there's this demand for personalization?
Right. So I believe we think about it in terms of offering the personalization, the data, as well as the premium content. We think about it as the art and the science. The art, which is creating relevant moments and aligning your brand with those relevant moments, whether it's via contextual targeting or a product that we have called Moments, or the science piece of it, the data, the targeting, the identity, the users that are coming to the platform that you want to target as a buyer. Every major media company with a streaming asset or even a linear asset has a data play. And we've invested heavily in ours and really fortifying our data spine, connecting with agencies via data clean rooms to push their segments through and allow their buyers to target against. That's very important to balance that art and that big major sponsorship placement and break one of a show, plus your huge transactional media spend that's going to have a ton of data targeting on it. It's important to have both. Can't just be one note anymore, because buyers need choice and they have different KPIs and they need to hit their audience, and they also want to be surrounded by that content. And there's a perfect intersection where that can happen. Both things can happen at the same time, and we've been investing heavily at WBD to make sure that that's the case.
As you mentioned, advertisers want to be surrounded by that premium content. I'm always fascinated by the idea of how contextual has evolved. You touched on that, and you mentioned a WBD product called Moments.
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yep. So everything. So in terms of part of the offering, you of course are going to have your straight up media spend. You're going to have your show level targeting. You're going to have your data targeting. It is very important to have a contextual play for us at WBD. We have a massive library of content that can hit hundreds and hundreds of content segments. And we're currently in market with probably 50, and maybe it explodes to 100 this year. Using AI technology, and working with partner Curve, we scraped all of our content to assign segments to each frame, and collected all of this information and created a targeting segment. Moments lives in that world. So not only can you do broad reach contextual, you can do show level episodic targeting to place your small kitchen appliance around a kitchen scene in an HGTV show. So we have a lot more to do there in terms of really fortifying that offering and really getting very specific on that level of targeting. But contextual offsets, the fact that, data and privacy concerns looming. It's another offering to create relevance with your brand and the WBD brand.
So there's so much scale that you've been able to activate through all those various dozens of touch points. Everything's a balance, right? So how does the idea of balancing the value of brand storytelling that again informs those premium content offerings? How do you balance the sense of brand storytelling with also this kind of segmented targeting that you do?
It's a mix. It's really, in terms of the balance, like in terms of how you want your media planning to go and how we want to create our media mix for our partners. It's not going to all be show level title sponsorships, which can get pretty expensive pretty fast, and it's not going to all be data targeting because you'll never be able to fulfill all of your needs with just one data target, right? For both the buy side and the sell side. So these offerings, and I will admit, like sometimes we can get out of hand on a product suite and putting too much out there. We have a nice, concise groupings of products in our tool set in order to offer the precise targeting, but also to allow you to align your branding with relevant content, as well as be around big moments, which we have them. Every Sunday night on HBO Max, HBO Max coming this summer. Anytime we're in episodes, you just see a swirl of activity, not only on our platforms, but in the cultural zeitgeist on the social channels and whatnot. You can be surrounded by that. You can surround yourself with that, and also build a really nice foundation of different types of flights, whether it's contextually targeted or data targeted, to meet all your needs.
So the stories at the Upfront that that we mostly tell are about the content and the storytelling.
Yep.
But also wanted to touch on the technology side.
Yep.
You've talked about a lot of the capabilities you have, but is there anything else that's exciting to you about the technology offerings that are surrounding what you're doing with WBD?
Yep.
This season?
Yes. So that's another shift over the past few years, in that not only are you just talking about your content on stage at the Upfront, you're also talking about your tools. And we are very excited to announce 2 tools this Upfront cycle: Demo Direct, which allows you to buy a demo across the portfolio, as well as Neo, our self-service ad platform, which will allow agencies, holdcos, marketers to connect directly and automate their transaction type, whether it's guaranteed or non-guaranteed. It offers more fluidity, it offers more transparency, and it offers an ease of operational burden. And we're launching later this year. We're very excited to get out in the market and talk with our buyers and our platform partners about it. And it's really about simplifying the purchase of our premium video content.